Glad you could join us today as Kevin and I are going to be talking about the recall here in California. The recall is starting to look like it might not be such a sure thing. And why is that? Well, according to the Orange County Register, there are people throughout the state that feel the economy is doing better, which Kevin and I have a hard time because I invest in the stock market. It has not been a good week in the stock market. So how the economy is doing better when there's no shortage of shortages, I don't understand. I think it's propaganda from the left using the media to try to influence us. Why? Because something hit me as I was driving to work today to see you, Kevin.
What's that?
Well, normally when we go vote, we go on a Tuesday and we vote. But because this is a mail-in election, people are voting right now. They have their ballots right now. In fact, our own Roy Griffith showed me a picture of his ballot and said, check this out. I'm voting and I'm putting it in the mailbox right now. And that's what's upsetting me because I think right now what the left is trying to do is convince people no point in voting because this is never going to happen, which is why I'm going to double down and say we need to make sure all of you, each and every one of you that watches this video, listens to it, is actually doing something on the recall called voting.
Yeah, and I mean, it's no surprise we've seen tactics like these before. A lot of times on the national stage, but on the state level as well. I mean, it's no different than when you go and see that T-shirt that says no on Newsom when they're trying to trick you to vote no on the recall, but what the person actually wants is to say no to Newsom, which means, as we've said in the past, yes on the recall.
That would be question one.
They're putting, so they're using studies like this one from Chapman University that's basically saying because the Biden administration is pumping so much money into the economy, which I don't know last time you heard, but printing excess money hasn't necessarily been a good thing for the economy.
In any country in history.
Right, but that's basically causing people in a more heavily Republican county like Orange County to be optimistic about the economy, and that in essence is taking away some steam from the recall. And I think it's important to point some things out like this. Rick, I know that you're out on the road a lot. I've been out on the road a lot talking to a lot of people. This is not necessarily the sentiment that I've been getting when actually face-to-face talking with individuals. I think what something like this is more geared towards is somebody who maybe has 1 foot in and 1 foot out of this, maybe somebody who's not necessarily following the recall efforts as others are, and they read an article like this in their daily digest of the OC Register, and they say, well, hey, maybe he's not that bad. Maybe he doesn't need to be recalled. It ends up being harmful to the recall effort.
But I don't even understand how you can be on the fence. I mean, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I think there are people on the fence, but okay, so if you're pro-Second Amendment, this governor has openly, as we've said several times on the show, said, hey, I want to change by eradicating, which would, in simple English, means get rid of the Second Amendment community in California. But if that's not where you want to hang your hat, hey, how do you like that almost $5 a gallon? And him saying, hey, depending on what's going on the global stage, it could be $8, $9 a gallon. So you can all go buy electric cars, which, okay, even if I want to go buy an electric car, try to find an electric car when there's a shortage of parts to make the electric car. There's a shortage of places to do it. We're not ready for a couple of million Californians to go buy electric cars. Hey, the best one, Kevin, and I'll bring it up now. You and I, and I'm sure Jacob will throw the picture in for us, we're just up in Fresno, where the bullet train is supposed to end. Wait, there's no connection to the bullet train thing. It was like this 2-mile behemoth that connects to nothing.
Yeah, just a big hunk of cement in the middle of nowhere. It was pretty discouraging to see. But, I mean, I see the point that you're making, and the point that I'm making is kind of parallel to that, though, because, that's kind of assuming that you are paying attention to the things that the governor has said.
Yeah.
You are paying attention to the programs that he's funding. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that don't do that. I mean, just by, maybe tuning into this show or being a CRPA member in general, you're more informed than most in this state. Which is why we have the advocacy efforts that we have, not just to kind of get into our own little echo chambers and shout back and forth at each other, but to create efforts to go out into the community and educate people. And honestly, that's all that it takes, is a couple of pieces of educational information for somebody to look at you and say, holy cow, I didn't know that, and that's ridiculous. Maybe that is worth recalling the governor.
Right. And I think right now what people have to realize is this is the first step in taking back our state. Look, folks, we have groups that are well organized, well financed by the likes of the people we usually talk about, Soros and Bloomberg, Emerge America, which has a California corporation called Emerge California. You go and look at what they're trying to do to undermine and turn this into a socialist Marxist state. They try to window dress it. And what does that mean? It means that, if they can get away with this, all the decisions that affect your neighborhood, your house values, your ability to buy things, your ability to get education, everything will be ran by a select few in Sacramento. People, wake up. We do not work for the government. The government is our employee. We, the people, are the boss. We need to start stepping up and acting like the boss. It is time to clean the slate of the business of California and bring in new staffing.
Well, yeah, and I think it's so important to be able to identify these groups. You have so many driving forces when it comes to advocacy, when it comes to lobbying for legislation, or when it comes to individuals themselves. We have so many driving forces trying to push a ball in a specific direction. When you are able to locate the center of that driving force, like you just said, we as citizens can do something about it. And, just like in Huntington Beach, like you've mentioned before, we have the power to recall people. And what we need to be, helping other people understand is that this specific organization, Emerge California, is not friendly to the culture that we want in California. They're going to look to subvert in any way, shape, or form that they can. We've already seen examples of it in areas that you would think are the most fortified. It's really unfortunate to see how quickly something can move. I know that we're used to saying, a lot of these things don't happen overnight, but some of them do. So it's the policy that can change overnight. It's the structure that takes a while to actually form. This structure has formed. We need to remind ourselves that the power is in our hand and get these established people out of office.
And I think to close what we're trying to get through today, every one of you has to realize something. We can win lawsuits, and we do. We can defeat legislation. The CRPA does all the time. I mean, right now we're at 26 pieces this year. 23 are off the books. We stopped them. And we're battling on the final 3. Here's the deal, though. If we do not elect and have the proper people in Sacramento, starting with the governor's office down, we're just going to keep recycling through this process. And this is our chance to start to turn things around. Join us. Recall on question 1. The answer is yes. We want to remove the governor.
There's lots of positives and negatives in the California legislature, but what's always positive? A like on this video. So be sure and like, share, and subscribe. Make sure and hit that little bell so that you can stay tuned for all of our future videos. You can also check us out on Facebook and at crpa.org. If you're looking for up-to-date legislature notes and things that are going on in the courts, the website and these videos are a great place to find it. So be sure and follow us, and we'll see you next time.